Hi there and welcome to Go on Shaw TV. I'm Christy Pick. Now, recently we were at Hoopla's Family Entertainment Center for a little bit of mini golf, and during that time I had challenged Trevor Moore with Advantage Golf Academy to a putt-off. Of course, as a golf pro, he's had a little bit of practice, and I figured by that time maybe I was up to snuff. So today on the show, Trevor is going to join us, and he's going to tell us a few of the things that you need to keep in mind if you are absolutely brand new to golf. It is huge in our region, but we do have a lot of beginners like myself. So Trevor's going to give us a little bit of information about that, etiquette, when to book into a golf course if you're a newbie, and what to think about before you actually get to the swing. So stay tuned for that and so much more. Let's see what else we have coming out on today's episode.
As practitioners now are out at the golf course analyzing, the golfers on the golf course, the patients swinging a golf club, or they're taking it to the hockey rink.
Well, welcome back to the show again. We are at Cottonwood Coulee Golf Course today, and I'm joined by Trevor Moore with Advantage Golf Academy. And Trevor, thank you so much for joining us. You and I have spoken before, and you know that golf kind of honestly freaks me out.
Right.
I don't know what it is, but I've never really been introduced to the sport. It's huge in this area. So I wanted to get your take on why is it so big, and what do beginners need to know?
Yeah, it's great questions. And as you had mentioned a few things, just the anxiety, the environment, and various things like that. First of all, why is it so popular in our region? I don't know. It is just popular here. Maybe it's because of the length of the season. We just have a great climate. We're one of the first areas of the province to get rolling out in the spring. We're also one of the last areas to close. So it's the thing to do. Medicinehat is also blessed with a ton of great golf courses. So there's just lots of opportunity to play, and it's very affordable in our region. So there's probably lots of reasons why it's super popular, but I agree with you, it is. I had it referred to me one time, somebody said it's the new coffee. People don't say, hey, let's go for a coffee. They say, let's go play nine.
Yeah.
And that's really sort of what it is. It seems like everybody plays here. It's super common, though, when you get to the golf course, people struggle with it. And there's two areas. One, they're worried about the mechanics of the swing and how those types of things go, which is the hard skills in the game. But they're often thrown into the environment and they work on the hard skills, but they're never ever starting with the soft skills, which is understanding dress code and just general procedures at the golf course. And that creates a lot of anxiety for people. So there's lots of big soft skill stuff a person has to get into to make sure they understand the environment. And that's sort of a big area we probably want to go to. Work on some of that anxiety.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's start out with the first time you're going to the golf course. What do you wear? What do you say? When do you book in? What time of day or time of the week do you book around a nine?
Yeah, first thing is every golf course is a little bit unique in what their dress code is, what their busiest times of day are, how far in advance you can book, and those types of procedures. Okay. Information is key there. Use websites. In today's day and age, everybody's got a website, or phone the pro shop, really simple. Arm yourself with the information before you go, asking their dress code, getting comfortable with what you need to know for how far you can book in advance, and those types of things when you show up. Biggest thing I always suggest is leave ample time to arrive early. People, no matter what golf course they go to, can often tell beginners they're rushed and racing. They're trying to get everything ready at the last minute, and they're racing as they come running in the door, and they've already set themselves up for anxiety before they've even got here. So do some research in advance, phone the golf courses, find out when it's going to be quiet, what's the best time of day they would recommend going to play, and book into those time windows, and they'll tell you. It's in their best interest to be helpful.
How important is it to spend time on the driving range before you actually hit the course?
Well, you do want to spend some time, for sure, no question. I mean, you obviously have to have a reasonable handle on the physical skill set, but I find that some people get so wrapped up in the driving range environment that they're scared to never go play golf. They don't ever get out there because they don't feel they're ever good enough.
Right.
The reality is you're going to struggle, but if you don't know what you're practicing for, your practice becomes mundane and pointless. So I do suggest that you do get out, hit some range balls just to sort of get a rough sort of feel for it. Doesn't have to be correct, just get an idea. Then go play, because that gives you an idea of what you need to go practice, and that sort of helps you shape your practice and create some inspiration to go practice with. So
you have your golf academy. Do you get a lot of first-time golfers? And if you do, what are some of the biggest questions or concerns that you hear?
Yeah, we get tons of beginners, very common, people that are starting and getting rolling in the game. Things that we hear often are questions like you asked about dress code, where to play. One of the things that I often talk to people about is because they want to know what the ideal golf course is to go play at. Okay. The reality is it seems like a logical perspective that you would start at a par 3 golf course and move to the longer golf courses as you go. But that doesn't necessarily have to hold true as long as you bite off the golf course in a manageable piece. And one of the things that I get people to really think about is when you pay your green fees to go play at the golf course, the general rule is you'd play from the tee box to the green, but the reality is they're not going to have any problem with you starting halfway down the fairway, starting the hole there and biting it off in manageable pieces. So you can start with that mentality. You can go to any golf course you want and take the golf course in manageable doses. Don't have to take it all at once. You don't have to take 6,500 yards and play it all at once. That's overwhelming. So what we often tell people is if you want to go play, start maybe at the 100-yard marker and play from the 100-yard marker on every hole until you start making 4s and 5s as your score, or whatever your score sort of goal is. Then the idea is every time you go play, you go a little further back and you stay at the next yardage point until you continue to make those scores again. And then you move further back, maintaining those scores. So you can eventually bite off more of the golf course and still make sure it's not overwhelming and too much golf course. So that's the biggest question we get is, where do I start? How do I know when to play? You know what, book it at a reasonable time, but get there. Don't feel like the tee boxes are there, that's where you have to play from. Hop on the power cart, drive down to the 100-yard marker and take it in digestible pieces.
And quite frankly, you don't have to wait to be in a tournament to play best ball. If you're in a group, play best ball.
Sure you can, absolutely, and play for fun. I think the thing that you want to remember is there's 2 sets of rules in the game. One is the rules of golf, which is the scorekeeping in the competitive realm. The other one's the rules of etiquette. Right. And the rules of etiquette need to really supersede the rules of golf, especially when we're starting and we're not playing competitively. The rules of golf say you can't pick your golf ball up. Rules of etiquette say it's important to keep the pace of play. Well, if you're just starting, I would suggest that picking up your golf ball and walking a little further down the hole is more important than hitting 4 shots 10 yards and feeling stressed about it. So take the golf course. We always, beginners, same thing, in the sand trap. Take 1 shot. If you don't get it out, hand wedge. Throw it out. Just don't put any pressure on yourself to have to hit every shot. You learn to kind of grow with it.
Okay, well, Trevor, I'm going to keep you around. Later on in the show, you're actually going to give me a little bit of a lesson.
Awesome.
Like I said, first time you step onto the golf course, what do you need to know? What are some things when actually getting into those mechanics? So stick around. And earlier in an episode, I had actually challenged you to a putt-off. So we're going to do that later in the show. How's it sound?
I've been practicing, so you got your work cut out for you.
Okay, stay tuned. We have a whole lot more right here on Go. Welcome back again. We are at Cottonwood Coulee Golf Course. I'm joined by Trevor Moore today with Advantage Golf Academy. Trevor, earlier in the show, we were talking about, for people who are brand new to the game of golf, the etiquette, when they book into the course and that sort of thing. Now we're going to get into some of what you call the hard skills, mechanics, leading up to the first swing.
Yeah.
What do we need to know?
What do we need to know? There's so much to know. Yeah, so much to know. Once you get through some of the soft skills and you get into an understanding of, where you're going to play and those types of things, and you want to start maybe tackling the driving range a bit before you actually go play. The golf swing can be a pretty complicated scenario, and there's a lot of different things that you can really cover. But what we always have to do is go to the root fundamentals, and the root fundamentals always are grip and stance. We want to make sure those things are correct. Those are 2 questions we get asked all the time. Am I holding the club right? How do I stand? Once those are in place, and if you get those happening consistently and repeatedly, so they're sort of a habit, you then have the opportunity to have a chance to make a repeatable golf swing. So before you even worry about any movement, get the pre-swing stuff down first. So we're going to cover some grip and some stance today and kind of give you the Coles Notes version maybe, if we can, and run through some grip and stance stuff.
Okay. You're the professional. Take me through it.
All right, excellent. Well, first of all, just put your hands on your club like you normally would. And we want to look at a couple things. I'm going to get you to hold the club in your hands. We're just going to hinge the club up here. What we're looking for underneath the grip, and you have a good start already, we have the hands blended together. Now, we either have what's called overlapping or interlocking. Okay, there's 2 options. Now, there's really no fundamental difference between one or the other. It's just sort of a preference thing. But we want to make sure the hands are blended together with either interlocking or overlapping. Why do we do that? With our hands here, we're working with 2 units, so it's a lot harder to control. When we get the hands blended together, they work as 1 unit. So it really contains it. It's a little easier and simpler to work with. So on the underside of the club, we're blending the hands together either by interlocking or overlapping. Okay. When we bring the club down out front, we're looking for a couple simple keys here. Things I like to see, if we just open this hand up a touch, this left hand, we want to see the thumb in a straight line pointing completely down. Okay. And we want to see this hand covering that thumb, and that thumb ending up just over to that front side of the golf club. Okay. Okay, so a couple quick checkpoints, left thumb down, right thumb around. And we're also looking at the 2 wrists right here. There's nice little bends in both wrists, which is what we want to see as well. So a couple bends in the wrists, thumb positioning, blending the hands together underneath, interlocking them are a few basic keys that I'd really suggest you get in play.
And that's going to keep the consistency in your swing and make sure that it's not wobbling as you're coming down?
Yeah, and what that does when you swing, ultimately everything we do with our hands is about controlling the club face here. Okay. And when we get into this situation, the club is going to tend to rotate as we move. And a good hand position promotes the correct rotation. Okay. Where if we get a wrong grip, the club doesn't rotate as it should, and then we don't have a straight club face at impact, we start seeing control problems. Okay. So grip is really critical to controlling the rotation of the club face.
I think one of the things that scares me when it comes to not knowing how to golf is, am I going to hit the ball? So is that kind of that first step of, if you're in line with your swing, that's going to be kind of your guarantee marker?
Well, you know, ball contact is a tough one. That's sort of hurdle number one we get through when we get into the moving stuff. Most people struggle with making ball contact to start with. That in itself creates a bunch of anxiety. But what has to happen is if you don't start with the same grip every time and you don't start in the same posture every time, you are in a different position every time you swing. It makes it hard to make consistent contact with the golf ball. So kind of the precursor to making consistent contact is getting into a consistent stance. From there, it really comes down to trial and error and hand-eye coordination being a big part of the equation. Mechanics are important to making good contact, but hand-eye coordination is a pretty big piece of that puzzle as well. So you have to nurture the hand-eye coordination along as well.
Okay, you talked about stance, so what do we need to know for stance?
Yeah, great question. I'm just going to get you to drop the club down. We're going to take it right into your hands. Stance, we just really need to know 3 steps, and we'll run you through the 3 steps, and then we'll give you the details for them. But we want your feet shoulder width apart, standing tall, okay? Then you're bowing by sticking your butt out or using your hips, and you lightly bend your knees. Okay, so we're going to go through it face to face. What I want you to do is lock your knees, feet shoulder width apart, knees are locked. I want your hands on your hips, and you're good in tall posture, so chest out, shoulders back, and chin up. We're just standing nice and tall. Now, that's sort of step 1. Step 2 is we need to bend into our stance. People usually bend one of 2 ways, and there's one that's good and one that's not so good. And the first one is the good one. We want to bend at our hips. So we're going to feel our head go forward and our butt go backwards, so like we're bowing. Okay, excellent. There you go. That's using the hips. Okay, so if we do that and we bow, we bend over, but we maintain our posture. Okay. The mistake that people often make is from here, their butt doesn't go back. What they do is they bend over and they slouch by bending their spine. You're going to see in the camera, you're going to see a big rounding of my spine.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, that's not good for the golf swing. It's not good for the back either. So big key being really engaging the hips. It'll feel like you're sticking your butt way out. It's not as much as it feels, but it just feels like it's going back a lot. So feet are shoulder width apart. We stand tall. From here, we bow. Now the last step is to lightly unlock the knees. And then just let your arms hang suspended. Stay right there. If your arms are hanging suspended down from your shoulders, you put your hands together. That's roughly where we're holding the golf club. Okay. Okay, so in a good stance, stay in that position for me. We have good hip bend. We have a light knee flex, and we're trying to get it set up so the arms are hanging suspended beneath the shoulders. A lot of people tend to make the mistake of extending the arms out from the shoulders rather than suspending them down. Right there, they're far more relaxed. Here, they're far more tense.
And whenever I go to, say, play mini golf, I tend to stand almost like I'm going to do a baseball swing with one foot back.
Yes.
Do you find a lot of
you do see that on occasion? People struggle with their footwork down there. We're looking for square lines, so we want, if we drew a line across my toes, my knees, my hips, and my shoulders, we want everything nice and square or parallel. So we definitely don't want a foot back. But yeah, it is common to see the footwork kind of getting out of line down there.
Is it the same if you're getting ready to go off the tee box or if you're on the putting green?
It is. Really, the posture and the setup is basically identical for every shot you're going to hit. There's subtle nuances that change, but the club sort of makes the change for you. So the general body structure is going to be exactly as we worked on right there.
Okay, Trevor, you actually have golf tips on Shaw TV. We love seeing you on Go all the time. So as people are getting into this, they can obviously get a hold of you with Advantage Golf Academy. How do they reach you?
Probably the easiest way is through the website, advantagegolf.ca. It's got cell phone and text number on there as well as email, and you can call or text me or email me anytime. All
right, these are just the basics. There's so much more to it, I know, with golf, and I think we do need to spend some more time together. I need to get over my anxiety. That is the tough part. But later on, as we close out the show, I think you and I are going to do a little bit of putting and see who the real champion is in Medicine Hat. All right, stay tuned. We have so much more here on Go. All right, well, to wrap up today's show, I had challenged Trevor to a putt-off in a previous episode. You may remember that, Trevor. I'm a little bit closer than you because you are the golf pro, but I think that we need to actually put some stakes on this.
We're gonna put something on this. Yeah, maybe our favorite coffee of choice. How's that?
Okay, so loser buys coffee for the other person.
Okay, perfect. And all the Twitter bragging rights that go with it.
Absolutely. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
So do you want to go first?
Well, I want to also clarify, you're closer, not because I'm the golfer, but because you're the cheater. I just want to clarify that much.
I might cheat,
I didn't know these rules before, but I will go and see we have closest to the hole. That's the idea?
Yes.
Okay.
But you can't hit my ball.
Ooh,
oh boy.
The pressure's on.
Oh boy.
The pressure's on.
Okay, well, if I put everything into play that you taught me. And I just beat Trevor Moore on television.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I think I'm going to start bragging right after this. Again, Trevor Moore at the Advantage Golf Academy, thank you so much for joining me today and helping to relieve a little bit of that anxiety when it comes to the game of golf.
I think we relieved a lot of the anxiety today.
I think we did. Today probably helped.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks again. And if you want any information about anything we're covering on Shaw TV, of course we're on Facebook, Shaw TV Medicine Hat, also on Twitter at shawtv the hat. Watch for some bragging rights there. We'll see you next time right here on Go.
PGA of Canada.
Professional.
Professional. Yeah.
When I say it, can I just say golf pro Trevor Moore?
Absolutely can. I'm not going to get hung on the credentials too much.
Okay.